Hi and welcome to Mike's Corner. So, if you've never been to this channel before, you probably don't know I'm a bit of a retro collector, and you can see behind me the multiple stuff we've got here. If you look here, I've got a Sega multimega, one of my rare things that I have in my collection. Now, AliExpress have been flagging up this thing to me, and I've been thinking to myself, I wonder what the quality is like compared to an original. So, shall we have a look at the Sega AliExpress copy gamepad joystick? Let's get unboxing. So let's have a look at the clone Sega joypad. So this is all it comes in. A little padded envelope. No expense spared on this, which is probably a good thing compared to the price of it. So let's crack it open, shall we? There's a little bit of tape here. Let's get that off. Right. And here we have the standard AliExpress shipping label. Right, let's get it out and have a... As I said, no bells and whistles on the packaging here. Right, let's take it out of this packaging. At least they put it in a little bag to protect it from scratches. So, oh, I don't know how well that protected it from scratches. Oh, look at this, already out of the box. Right, how does it... What's interesting is it feels okay. It really does. It feels quite sturdy. Plastics feel okay. The joypad actually feels okay. The buttons, now there's a lot of play in the, well, I say play, there's a lot of travel in the buttons that this, you know, there's a, especially that one, that's got a huge amount of actual travel before it clicks down. But I don't really remember what the original ones felt like. So let's get an original one out and put it side by side and see what they look like. So here we have the two joysticks side by side. This is out of my multimega box, and this is the official Sega multimega one that came with it. And this is obviously the AliExpress one. Now we can see a couple of differences here. There's the power button, well, the start button, different colors. These buttons are more, I'd say, more kind of curvy on the original, where they're a bit flat topped on these ones. The D-pad, yeah, I mean, it feels very, very, very similar. If anything, it's more springy, and that could just be the age of the plastics and the actual rubbers and the membranes inside that. That feels more springy than this one. The buttons travel. I was correct on the button travel. If you look at the button height side by side, there's a big difference here, and the travel of these buttons, it's just that. Where the travel of this button, it feels quite a distance. There was another thing that I also noticed is the size. The size. Look at this. It's like a baby brother. If I put this on top of this and put them side by side, you can see there is quite a large size difference here. That, I mean, at the end of the day, does that really matter? So if I'm holding the original in my hands, it feels nice, it's curved, my fingers fit around it quite nicely, and it kind of, fits how you want it to be. If I put this in my hand, it's kind of the similar experience. It's nice, my fingers curve around it. It doesn't go as deep into my hands as the other one, but if I didn't have this and I just had this to go on, I wouldn't know if you know what I mean. I mean, yes, this one is bigger, but it's not, doesn't really feel any different. Now, there is still a mode button on the side. On the original one, it's quite quieter by pressing that. If I put it up to the mic, so this is the original one and the new one. So it's much more louder on the new one, but as to be expected. You know, these have been used for many years. The buttons are probably worn out a little bit, but this is a brand new button. But then again, it could just be the quality of the button. Now, as you can see, the cable is a lot thicker on the original, but that's kind of a running thing on anything you get now. It'll be a thinner cable, cheaper to manufacture, where they had to make these to last. So the actual cable would be thicker inside, more robust, it would last longer, where these are made for just so they work and for cheapness. But again, it could be just the quality of the cables have improved from the 90s when these were out. But let's pop it open and have a look to see what the quality of the components are inside. However, before we do that, I thought it'd be quite funny just to do a side-by-side comparison of the actual connectors. So that's the original Sega one. Nice, robust. Look at this. Extra plastic on there for pulling it out. Really good quality. And here's the AliExpress one. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's fine. So you join me back now with the actual both controllers taken apart, and we can see what we've got here. So let's just peel these back. Peel these back as well. Okay, so you can see here it's using a very kind of basic kind of membrane version, where the Sega ones actually have as basically a interconnecting pattern. So your pads will be like this. You have your conductive strips that will touch on those actual areas and create the contact, where these ones are determined on the gap between the two. Now, I don't know why they didn't use a similar connectivity, because if they're designing a PCB, the PCB is the price whatever you do on it. So it's the size that really matters on the PCB. So I'm not sure why they did it on the actual buttons, but then didn't do it on the actual pad. So if anyone could actually comment why, that would be interesting to know. But as you can see here, it's got a date of 2024, and on this one, it's got 1992. So let's have a look at the actual quality here. So the PCB is thinner on the actual reproduction. By the look of it, we get a micrometer out and have a quick look at that. So the original one is 1.67, and the AliExpress one is just a little bit thinner at 1.49. And also looking at the chip that controls basically the different kind of voltage regulations of the different buttons, it's been replaced with a chip on this one which is covered in goop, so we can't even tell what it is. What we'll also do is have a look at the thickness of the plastic too. So on the original, we're looking at 2.28, and on the remake, 2.38. So the plastics on the remake are actually thicker. And I will say, if you can see that on the original, the flex on this one, it's not as flexible as the original, which is surprising. That let's have a look at the actual contacts here. So we've got the original Sega one and we've got the remanufactured one, and you can tell straight away it's a small area of contact, where the Sega ones had a large area of contact. That is also holds true for the actual buttons as well. And you can see here the difference in size of the actual buttons, that it could all work fine. I'm sure it will. So this is an interesting thing. If you're thinking to yourself, well, maybe I could use the buttons on the original controllers, well, on the replacements on the originals, in case you've got damaged buttons, you can, because they do have the same layout. However, the actual fonts on those buttons are not in the same orientation. So if I put these closer for you and line them up the same, so as you can see, the A on the original, this one, is in a different orientation to the A on the copy. So it wouldn't look the same as the original. But let's put it all back together again and see if we can do a quick test. So you join me back, and we've set up the Sega multimega on my test screen, and we're going to run through some tests using the original Sega joypad first, and then moving on to the AliExpress clone. Now, this is the very first game I ever played on a Mega Drive, and it was lent to me from one of my friends from back in the day, and it actually said I could keep it after a while. So this is Arrow Flash on the Sega Mega Drive, running on the Sega multimega. So let's go check it out, shall we? So here I am playing Arrow Flash on the Sega multimega, and it's running fine using the original joypad. No problems whatsoever. Now let's move on to the AliExpress clone and see if that's the same story. Okay, so here I am using the AliExpress joypad. Now, it's evident that the button travel is different from playing it. The D-pad actually feels pretty good. No problems whatsoever with the D-pad. The extra button travel is, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. But because I've just come off an original joypad, the button travel is evident to me. But it's working exactly as it should. Now, is it worth the price? Well, we haven't talked about the price yet, have we? Shall we talk about the price? So, on price, let's talk about that for a minute. So on eBay right now, sold listings for an original Sega 6-button joypad is £20. Okay, which, okay, not too bad. Cheaper than I had actually expected. AliExpress's copy of the controller, how much do you reckon this cost? £5, £7? No, £2.30. £2.30. That's absolutely insane, and to me shows that this is a winner. In all honesty, a winner that cost £2.30 compared to the original £20. So that brings me to the end of this video, and in all honesty, for £2.30, this is a winner. Think about it. If you've got kids, or if you run kind of like a retro cafe, anything like that, or you just want a controller you can just throw in a bag and just use, it's £2.30. Ridiculously cheap. And I'll tell you what, if you were to break this, you'd care less than if you broke one of these. So, hell yeah. £2.30. The only gripe I really have, and it's really a tiny gripe, and I know I've said it a couple of times in the video, and it's just the button travel distance, going from the lesser travel distance on the original pad to this quite large travel distance on this pad. It's noticeable only really if you go from one controller to the other. If you're just using one of these, I doubt you'll even know or care. And for £2.30, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculously cheap and works. So, Mike, where have you been? It's been 3 weeks. You haven't uploaded a video. Well, I've started a new job recently, and that's kind of taken its toll a little bit on doing videos. And also, I've just, well, in the last 2 odd weeks, come back from Tokonatsu, the Japanese anime culture convention that we run every year. And we're staff members there. And sometimes you just want to switch off. But now we're back, and new videos for you. Now, if you did find this informative, please think about whacking the like and subscribe. We are so close to 700 subscribers. That's insane. I remember one of the videos I did literally probably about a month or two back, and I was saying, we're nearly at 500. Now we're nearly at 700. So can we get to 800? Can you imagine? Can we get to 1,000? If you can get to 1,000, it unlocks all kinds of YouTubey stuffs, which I don't have access to because I'm only a baby channel. But please think about whacking the like and subscribe. Really helps me out as a channel. It's just me. Just me. No big production company. It's just me in a room. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next video.